So we're going to take notes on the Neolithic Revolution today, which is going to answer this question. How did we get from the Paleolithic era, the old Stone Age, people living in caves, fire, nomadic, to civilizations that are more organized and advanced? Okay, so we're going to start with a piece of paper, just a sheet of loose leaf, and we're going to fold it into 3 parts. Okay, holes at the top. And then press it flat so you end up with 3 sections like this. So it looks like this, like you would put in an envelope, and then open it up and you get 3 sections. Okay, so we're going to label the first section before/causes. The second one will be Neolithic Revolution. And the third one will be effects. And for each section, you'll be taking particular notes. Okay, you want to write down the key vocabulary and the most important ideas for you to have on your page. Okay, so what was life like before the Neolithic Revolution? What do we already know about this Paleolithic or Old Stone Age? We know that people were nomadic because they were primarily hunter-gatherers or foragers. The men hunted animals, the women gathered plants or foraged for different resources. This meant they moved around a lot and they were very good at adapting. Also, since everyone had to contribute, both men and women of different ages, so that the entire tribe or family would survive, most of it was very egalitarian. So people were equal to each other. They were viewed as having very similar roles, very similar value in society. And they were mostly organized by family. Okay, so how did that lifestyle change so much from what we've learned to civilization, right? And this answer is very straightforward. Farming, the domestication of plants and animals. People started farming. So what does that mean? Why did they do that? So we're still in the causes, that far left-hand column of what caused the Neolithic Revolution. What caused people to shift from gathering and foraging for their food to producing it themselves. That's what we're looking at, okay? So one of the causes is that temperatures around the world rose. It was a period of global warming, so the growing season was longer. They were simply able there was more food, more time available to grow food. At the same time, the population rose, okay? So more reliable sources of food were needed in order to feed all those people. And then 2 important discoveries were made around 10,000 BC. One is that they learned how to plant seeds. Remember, this would have primarily been the women who learned how to plant the seeds because they were the ones foraging and gathering plants. And then animals were domesticated. So animals were tamed in order to be used to help with the work of farming and also to be milked or worked in other ways in the farm area, okay? So in your before or causes, we should have vocabulary words like this, as well as some of the causes that you see on your screen, okay? Feel free to write these down in a way that makes sense to you. So we're going to move into the center section where it says Neolithic Revolution. What was this actually? Okay, so the first is that agriculture or farming emerges around 8,000 BCE all over the world. So you saw this map in our unit overview. So you can see right along this Tropic of Cancer, both north and south of there, we see the development of early civilizations, primarily along rivers. Why? Rivers provide good water that can be used for irrigation on a farm. Also, domestication occurs, so that taming of plants and animals for human use. That is, in fact, the Neolithic Revolution, all right? So we see the taming of animals like dogs, cows, sheep, goats that can be used for work and also for some of the supplies they provide, like milk, leather, fur. Permanent settlements form. So we see villages, kind of like this idea of Katal Hayuk in modern day Turkey. Those villages form. This should make sense in that as you plant seeds, you kind of want to stay in one place, make sure they're safe, take care of them. That's why animals begin to be domesticated. And also it takes more people to kind of do that work. So they start to settle together into these villages. The number one thing that occurs here is the idea of a surplus. So farming provides more food than individual families or people need, and that really drives the effects that we're getting into, okay? So you will see, now you should have notes that kind of look like this in the Neolithic Revolution section, and you can go back and rewatch any pieces you need to clarify or add ideas. So what were the effects of this? This is really the key that we're getting at here, okay? So first, cities grow. Population expands, people start to work together in order to develop these large farming technologies and settlements, and they need a place to trade their goods, which is where cities come from and what their purpose is. As people are able to have more reliable food, even though that food is not necessarily as diverse, more of them survive, women have more children, those birthing mothers survive more often, and so the population goes up. Technologies are also developed. So as people are presented with new problems of farming, new technologies are developed to help solve those problems. One of the most obvious ones that's easy to connect in this way is irrigation systems. So areas where there was too much water, systems had to take it away. Areas where there wasn't enough water, systems had to bring it. So something as simple as like a bucket on a pole or digging of a canal, okay? And we can see that over here. These are Egyptians working with the shadoof, okay? Now, the key here is surplus. Because farmers produced more food than they themselves or their families could eat, specialization developed. And so there were other things that are needed in a farming community. Blacksmiths in order to make the tools, weavers like these in order to make cloth and clothing, artists, artisans to make storage containers for this grain. That's called specialization, where not everyone has the same job now. People have a specialized or specific task that they are in charge of. That is only possible because the farmers produced a surplus. Okay, so they were able to like share and trade, really trade, not just share, their goods for the people who were making products, primarily at cities. Because not everyone has the same job now, social classes get defined. Remember, when everyone was hunting and foraging for survival, they were all equal. But now different groups of people begin to be ranked in different ways and accumulate more wealth. Blacksmiths, weavers, artisans, farmers, religious leaders, priests, government leaders, people who know how to read and write, writing systems develop. This really causes, this specialization causes people to kind of separate and rank each other. And so we see an increase in social classes and inequality in this way. And religion becomes much more organized as those religious leaders begin to take power for reasons that we'll go over separately. Okay, so you should have notes like this for your effects. Thank you very much.